Welcome to the Detroit Lions Morning Rounds podcast. I'm Jimmy Liao, University of Michigan Medical School graduate, board certified in family medicine. Let's talk about breaking news today, Thursday, October 1st. The Titans-Steeler game has been postponed until later in the year, so this means the Titans will have 2 weeks until their next game. Now, as a reminder, I have no insider information and I have no access to the raw data regarding the COVID testing. So all my information is obtained through reporters and through other public reports. So the news was the game has been postponed. It was because there were more positive tests with the Titans, including one reported today. So now there are a total of 5 players for the Titans that are positive and 6 staff members. Reassuringly, the Vikings, who the Titans played a few days ago, are all still negative. So reports are that the Vikings are opening their facilities soon, possibly today, and starting practice. So that's good news. Now, what does it mean medically to delay or postpone the Titans game? It helps them get through this COVID 2 to 14-day incubation period. Now, 2 to 14 days, it's not written in stone. These are estimates and guesses as to when a player might develop symptoms after being exposed to the virus. A player could still be infectious after 14 days, though. For example, if they didn't start developing symptoms until day 14, they could be having symptoms for many days after that. But it does help catch players who are contracting the virus during this incubation period by delaying the game an extra week. The other benefit for delaying or postponing the game is it helps players who have contracted the virus to clear the virus from their system by way of their immune system clearing it out. So there are a couple reasons medically why there are benefits to postpone the Titans game. One thing the NFL and the country need to be okay with is that there's no way to completely eliminate the COVID risk. There is always going to be a small risk. The best you can do is to decrease the risk, to mollify the risk, to help contain things as best as you can. But you're never going to completely eliminate risk. If you're hoping for that, then you should just go and cancel the season. One benefit of the Titans who have tested positive is that they will be on a 90-day exemption going forward, which means they're not going to be tested till early January or late December at this point when the regular season is almost over. So if you want to look at this from a silver lining standpoint for the Titans, any positive players that are being reported now will not be tested for 90 days as long as they are asymptomatic. So they should be ready to go for the rest of the regular season, basically. Another point that I'd like to make is that it's reassuring from a public health standpoint that there are positive test results. This was expected throughout that there would be mini-outbreaks, and it was slightly concerning to me that there hadn't been any mini-outbreaks to this point. The main concern for me was that the false negative rate was maybe too high based on so few positive tests during this whole season, as well as the way the NFL has been testing players. If you watched Hard Knocks, specifically episode 1 and episode 5, you saw that the way they tested players was to barely stick the cotton swab into the nostril. Now, if you're watching on this YouTube, I'm pulling up a picture of the New England Journal of Medicine's recommendation of how you're supposed to swab people, which is to stick that cotton swab directly back into the nose, deep into the sinus cavity. So it goes back multiple inches, potentially, into the sinuses to get a real good sample of the mucosa. This is not how the NFL has been doing it, so I was concerned that the false negative rate might be very high. it's considered the false negative rate generally across the nation is maybe around 30%. Well, if you're not swabbing properly, it could be 50, 70, 90%. So it's actually somewhat reassuring that they have caught a mini outbreak with the Titans. Maybe they've changed the way they're swabbing players. Maybe they're more aggressive about how they're swabbing. I haven't seen any new videos of how they're currently doing the swab testing. So those are my quick thoughts about the current Titan situation. Overall, I think there is a medical benefit to postponing the Titan-Steeler game in that it helps players who have caught the virus to clear it before the next game, as well as to catch any players who might develop symptoms or turn positive during the 2 to 14-day incubation period. Thanks for listening. Feel free to leave any comments, disagreements, suggestions, ratings, or subscribe.